On the air with Kyere.
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's your guy Kyere, aka the Connoisseur of the Obscure, and we are back for another super awesome episode of On the Air. As always, I am super grateful that you are with me. I am super grateful to have your eyes and or ears if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platforms. And today is sure to be an awesome show. I am Today, I will be joined by an incredible singer songwriter. He is, you may have heard his music, you may not even know where you've heard his music, but you definitely have engaged his content, whether it's any of his daily viral content pieces that are on Twitter, if it's one of his awesome songs, or if you're a fan of shows like Insecure, where his music has actually been placed. And I can't wait to get into some awesome details. Of course, with season two, I'm focusing on touring. So we're going to spend a large part of our conversation talking about the experience of being indie, the business aspect of being indie, as you know, I love to get into. But we're really going to talk about just our love for music and live experiences, whether we're in the audience or performing. So, without further ado, we are going to welcome the incredibly talented singer songwriter extraordinaire, Mr. Rob Milton. Welcome to the show,
Hi,
Rob.
what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? I'm so glad to be here on the air with Kyere. One of
Finally
my
in person.
finally, yes, a Twitter fave, a fave all around. So this is gonna be fun.
Oh, thank you, thank you. The feeling's mutual. I'm super excited to have you. Season two, I really want to. Well, it's a continuation of season one, right? Because I want to
Right.
talk to all of my favorites first, and so I really wanted to spend a lot of time talking to people who I feel are in my class of creatives, and that's you. So I'm happy to have you here. Welcome. I know
Happy
this
to
is like
be in
our
the number.
millionth time attempting to
We don't
record
have
this.
to. We don't even have to. The people don't gotta
Okay.
know that.
People don't have to know. They do now, but
They
child,
do.
it's been a journey. Okay,
It's the journey.
it's the journey.
Yes.
How are you today? Where are you? Where are we finding you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually home here in Atlanta, as well as you.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes.
it's a little warm today, so I'm kind of enjoying it, but also like, what is happening? But again, Atlanta, so
Yeah. The rest of the world literally cannot melt their snow, and I wore shorts to the grocery store today. Like it's
people
60
have
degrees.
icicles on their ceiling fans, but I have on shorts. I have on a jumpsuit, like with shorts.
Yes,
Come on.
no, totally. It's like
Yeah,
I there's no explanation as to why
none. And
anything
it's
is
probably going
happening.
to be 30 degrees tomorrow, but we're just taking every day at a time. That's what I've learned from
Yeah,
2020. Just
that's the only
literally
thing.
just take one day at a time. So here I am in shorts.
That's all we can do in shorts while
Yeah.
the rest of the world freezes. So what? So typically, I like to basically throw all the details to the audience if they aren't familiar with the guest. But today, I am really going to allow the audience to be introduced to who you are and what it is that you do. So just a little bit, I want to touch on your music because you have an awesome project that is out. It
Yeah,
is
couple.
a Yeah. You have
Yeah,
several projects out. You have quite a discography. You're on like album
thank you.
5, EP damn near number 4. You're in a group.
It's
Well,
I
in
feel
your
like
words.
Mariah, like I don't like attaching numbers to because I actually have probably I dropped my first project in 2012. So
Okay.
I've been releasing at least one to two EPs every year since 2012. And that's straight up. So I actually probably have about like 11. But the ones that we're the ones that we're focusing on, you don't gotta listen to we don't gotta go back there. I mean, you're
Okay.
welcome to it. It's there. But what we are focusing on right now is, like you said, I had a record on Insecure with my group Sons of the James.
Hmm.
So that album came out at the end of last year, which is called Everlasting. It's a really incredible album that sounds like it sounds like D'Angelo. It sounds like Mama's Gun, Everybody's Mama's Gun. Like it sounds like all of those very early 2000s neo soul, Electric Lady Studios. It sounds like that vibe, which is kind of a vibe that I grew up in church, but also that era and that sound, that experience kind of raised me as a creative. So I'm kind of glad to give that sound. But then I also self-produced and wrote an EP as well called Love Games that I also dropped last year. And that has B Slade on the interlude and Smith on a really like fun song with me. Shout out to Smith, who's also on the timeline. So I got a lot of things, a lot of things. Just working and making things happen as you do. So yeah.
Yes, yes. I mean, we do what we can to get comfortable.
Mariah said, "Oh, yes." But Mariah said, "We do the best." What did she say? She said, "I
We
would
do
do
the
the
best
best
we
I can
can with what I
with
got.
what we got," and
You
that's
got to put the
absolutely
little
the
throat in
motto.
it. You got to put the little throat in
Yes,
the got. You got,
got yes. She
and she
meant
throws
that.
her hair.
Yes,
Oh, that was a good night. For those also unfamiliar, I mentioned really briefly "Comfortable," which happens to
yes,
be the title of the most recent solo Rob Milton project, which actually dropped at the top of this year. Um,
yeah. So comfortable was actually on the Love Games EP, but
okay.
if we rewind further, comfortable actually was the debut single from my group Cousin.
Mm,
When I moved to Atlanta almost 4 years ago now, and about a year in, I had interacted with these two girls, and they felt like my favorite cousins. Like they felt like our first time hanging out. I invited them to my house. We listened to Jasmine Sullivan, like all unreleased Jasmine Sullivan. We drunk wine, and like that was our night. And it was like what is this? Like I just met y'all. This is perfect. And eventually we became a group. My group Cousin. And then eventually we lost a member. Not lost like in the passed away sound. That sounded terrible. But she just
the
moved on to
other kind.
different
I'm gonna
things.
say the other kind of transition.
Yeah, she just moved on to different things. But our initial single was a song called Comfortable that I wrote in the bathroom working at Whole Foods in Ponce. um,
Yes.
and it actually, that version with no label, no, we had no type of connections of anything, literally just threw it out there and it ended up on the Apple Music playlist. And it kind of grew over time, but as I was working on Love Games, I felt the song in a different way. I
Hmm.
really, in 2020, I feel like we all kind of experienced feeling our feelings without being able to, like, without escapism, because all the things that we used to escape were gone. So I began to learn how to process my songwriting through my emotions through my songwriting throughout 2020 and 2021. So comfortable kind of grew new wings because it hit different. The words hit different from me. They kind of were like actually happening in my life. And I
Hmm.
wrote a second verse and I made my own version. I call it kind of like my dangerously in love because you know how Beyonce. It was Destiny's Child, but then yeah. So it was on Love Games, and I decided to kind of reboost it one more time, one
Hmm.
final time. And I gave it a slow and reverb, chopped and screwed type thing, and just gave the acapella because those are kind of like my cleanest vocals ever in my life to this day. So I figured the people needed to hear that too. And people really love that song. So I'm just glad that it's a thing. It feels really good. It's comfortable. So yeah.
I love this is actually one of my favorite things when one of my favorite examples of the freedom when it comes to being an indie artist. I love when um, an artist kind of wrestles with something, whether it be a song or an idea or a concept for a project, and then they think they're done with it, but then life just kind of reminds it like actually
Yeah.
there's more here. Um,
Come back.
yeah, and being
Don't worry
indie,
about
you
it.
can do that. Like that's
Mhm.
there's so many ways to look at being independent in the negative, but that's one of the super awesome things about it is that you can go in and update songs, add songs to stuff, and then
Yeah.
repackage them and re-release them. You could drop a video for any version of Comfortable that you want any day
Mhm.
at your own choice, as long as the budget's figured out.
And that's the goal, to be honest. I realized also in 2020, 2021 that the struggle of being a struggling artist, being an indie artist, I realized, I guess I want to say the value of it,
Hmm.
because I'm looking and seeing so many people and so many creatives reach higher levels, and then it's almost like the hunger is missing, and so they kind of hit a block. Whereas for me, I've the hunger is so strong that like I can't stop myself from creating. I can't stop writing. I can't stop um, doing all the things that I'm doing. And so that's the other thing that I love about being indie is that there are no guidelines. There are no like, oh, you can't release this. Like I said, I've been releasing multiple projects a year for the past almost 10 years just because I felt like it.
Yeah.
And I mean, as long as it's quality content, I'm literally able to just release whatever I feel. And so as I said, I released an album with the group last year as well as my own EP. And I'm now at like the ending phase of a whole new album. And again, it's like the best thing I've ever done in my life. And that's something else that I appreciate is that every time I do something, the next thing is still my best thing.
Yeah.
And that feels really, really, really good. But you've heard some of the album. It's literally some of the best things that I've ever done in my life, and I'm actually super excited for people to hear it. Like DDM is gonna be on a record, and just it's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah, a lot of very exciting things, and
yeah.
anybody who knows me knows I hate spoilers, so I have nothing to say other than it's good, good,
It's
good
fine.
shit.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's all I would say. Is that it's good, good, good
That's
stuff.
all I need you to say.
Yeah,
Period.
no. I mean, that's all that can be said.
Yeah.
Only other thing I would ever say is that your nasty habit for cutting songs off before they're at the end. But you have a nasty skip spirit when you get like 2 minutes into it.
Because my spirit is very much like, oh, I want you to hear something else. Like, oh, it's like, oh, yeah, but
Yeah, no, this man,
again,
he was like, listen to this song, and like halfway through the first verse, out of nowhere, click. I'm like, I'm not somebody's like AI interface that's just gonna sort your music in 10 seconds or less. I have to hear the song to hear the song.
So are you going to continue to expose me or
No,
like,
I'm not. I finally got you on the air. So no, one thing.
Okay, but
nope. You don't even get to respond because it's
Wow.
actual and factual, like Chili saying. But we will get knee deep into this conversation just after this break. So please sit back, relax, listen to a couple sponsors. Check out Rob Milton's music because just after the break, we're going to be on the air with Kyere and Rob, and we're going to be talking tours, live experiences, the works. Okay? Boom.
all the things.
Rob Milton couldn't get in, but you know what you did get into? An episode of Insecure with your beautiful ass voice and production. I know that.
Hey Molly, it's Issa. Can we meet up?
Hey, thank you for staying. Thank you for listening to the entirety of the commercial break. Unlike Rob Milton, we are here on the air. We are here on the air with Kyere and this guy, Rob Milton, who I realized during commercial break, we actually have like both of our flower bouquets are giving right now. I adore it. Yeah. It's like I love that they look like one clean set. Gotta have fresh
that mine
flowers.
are still alive, So
As am I. Honestly, it's been maybe like 3-4 days, so it's a little hard to tell, but it looks awesome in this angle, so I'm not even gonna question it. I'm not even gonna
I tried the
question
whole plant daddy thing this summer, and my plant was good a day, good to go. But the pictures were great.
The crazy thing is, I was actually gifted a plant. I was gifted a plant by an awesome digital friend of mine, and she had it shipped, and I named the plant La Planta.
Yeah.
And La Planta is in ICU right now. She's sitting
Wait,
on
that
the
was
window.
like a couple weeks ago. Oh no!
So I did my research. This particular plant is native to Singapore. So it needs like a moist, humid environment, which depending on the right season is okay for Atlanta, but right now with 20-degree nights and 60-degree days, it's my La Planta. We're just gonna send one to the sky for her because I mean,
Rest
I
in
don't know.
peace.
They do free replacements within 30 days, and I'm within warranty, but still, I don't like. It's my first plant baby in this house, so I want it to be nice. Um, but that's neither here nor there. Talking about first experiences. So one thing I've gathered in our time getting to know one another is that one big difference. You grew up in the church, and I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I would assume that that's your first major experiences when it comes to live music, live instrumentation. Because I mean, where else do like most people who are musically inclined come from? It's the church.
Started in the
It's
church,
their
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I definitely started in the church. Grew up in the Baptist church, and I think I don't remember this story. It may be inaccurate. Someone may
Okay.
say you made that up. But
Okay. Your version of events.
as far as I remember, you had to be 6 to be in the youth choir, and
Mhm.
I was 5, and they made me the president of the youth choir. As far as I recall, that's the story that I remember. Now, somebody, if you was out there, you was in the choir, you say that's what you don't remember, shut up.
Okay. You're like he was not the president.
No, but really, I at a very early age, I was super into music. Like it was my outlet. It kind of has always been my outlet. And so because it has always been my outlet, it took a while for me to see it as something, to see the value of it.
Mhm.
Because to me it was like, oh yeah, like a lot of the, while you didn't grow up in church, we have a lot of this, we have a lot of similar knowledge, just like
Mhm.
looking into the credits and who's doing what and who's saying background here and this and that.
Yes.
And so a lot of that stuff that I have, people, I don't realize that it's special until other people are like, how do you know that? And so yeah, it was like that with church as well. Like once a church kid, always a church kid. Like I've grown and kind of, I guess I would say progressed in a lot of different ways in my beliefs and my actions. But certain things will stay with you forever. And as you see on Twitter, um, church humor is just kind of like it's stuck in me. But also church, the musical, the freestyle of it all. Um, One of the things that you and I have talked about before is that a lot of my live show experiences began seeing the Kim Burrells and the Yolanda Adams, all these different people just like casually at church events,
Mhm.
just killing. Like a mic toss at a church event on any night could be like the Soul Train Awards 1998. You know what I mean? Like at any given point, there's at least 6 people that can touch the mic that can do something that will literally blow your mind away.
Mhm.
And so, yes, a lot of my early experiences as a creative, but also just as a lover of music, they started there. So, yeah,
I okay. So you mentioned Yolanda a bit. Who
yeah.
else did you mention?
I was just kind of just like throwing out names, but I
Okay.
think I said
Oh
Kim
no, because
Burrell.
I
Yeah,
okay. Yes, Deacon Burrell. I was like, who's this another staple he mentioned?
yeah.
Um,
Let God
and
be
I
true.
and
Yep,
I'm about to say, listen, and let it be known, I'm not the gospel connoisseur. I didn't raise, I grew
Oh
up in
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
juke
No,
joint kind of family. No, this is just for the people listening. So for those of you listening and like, what, he couldn't immediately remember Yolanda Adams and Kim Burrell. I mean, like, what? I am the kid that did not grow up in the church. My family, they were the juke joint family, okay? Like
come on.
they were the moonshine people down the block, all right? So
Not Suge
my
Avery.
understanding, oh, very much so Suge Avery vibes. So my understanding of like I wouldn't even say church music. I'll just specifically say gospel because I feel like there's I have learned over time of so many different like many like subsects of gospel
Yeah,
music, or it be
yes.
traditional, contemporary, and so on and so forth. I know nothing. If it's not Shackles or Walking by Mary
Come
Mary,
on, see, but those
that's
are
like
good
the
starters.
extent. Those,
I
but bro,
appreciate you for
that's
knowing
like
those.
my like. That's it though. In sixth grade, I had to do choreography to Shackles, and then
Come
years
on.
years
I
later,
would
it
like
was
to
on
see
track.
it.
It
I would
was
like
very
to see
simple. It was
it.
very simple. It's take the shackles off my feet
Bye. We
so
all
I
did
can dance.
that. Wait.
That was it. That was all it gave. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Come on.
Yes. Okay, they had us moving, grooving.
I mean, just real quick, I have a funny story. So when I was in church,
Uh-huh.
I always did like the singing thing. My sister was not into singing. Like she was in the choir and they made her be in the choir, but like after a while, once she got to a certain age, she was like, I don't have to do this. So she just stopped. But she like, I guess was into dancing or whatever, and we kind of like did the same stuff because it was just the two of us. And so one day, myself, my sister, and my cousin did a dance to Kirk Franklin Hosanna, but I couldn't do the Harlem Shake. So the very beginning, they did the Harlem Shake, and I just like turned the other way. So like I'm just like standing in the middle, and they're like doing the Harlem Shake, and then I like turn around. Woo, good times. But yeah,
Yes, Mariah could never.
come on, listen.
All right, so what was your first oh my God moment when it comes to one of those iconic mic toss, or even if it wasn't a mic toss? What's your first concert experience in a church setting that you were like, whoa?
So this wasn't necessarily in a church setting, but it was kind of a church event. And honestly, I say it was my first concert because it's my first one that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
But the first concert that I can remember was at NJ Pack, and it was kind of a holiday thing, and it was Cissy Houston and Donnie McClurkin.
Gotcha.
So that's the first concert that I remember going to. But
Icons.
again,
Wait, I don't know. Is Donnie from Jersey as well?
no, Donnie is from New York.
Okay. Okay. So,
Believe,
but
I'm not
still
sure, but
close
yeah,
enough to
yeah.
where the
But
audience
yeah,
would go up.
but for me, for Cissy, that's Dr. Cissy
Yes.
Houston. That's amazing for that's legendary. But yeah, that's my first that I can remember. And then, well,
I was asking if Donnie might have been from New Jersey, but you say he's from New York, and the reason I
yeah,
asked is because I'm as a fan of music and as a fan of live shows, I know that typically when someone's from, or if they're in their hometown, it's just going to be 10
yeah,
times, the
yeah,
audience reaction and just 10 times the engagement.
yeah,
So the fact that Cissy is clearly like a native Jerseyan, and then the fact that Donnie is from somewhere very close, so I'm sure a
yeah.
lot of the people in that space. I mean, you're a kid, so what do you remember about like what the crowd gave? But I'm just
Yeah.
thinking in terms of like you would get like the energy would just be so monumental.
And to be completely honest, at that time, I clearly did not understand or value oh, I'm going to see Cissy Houston. Like I
Yeah.
didn't, it wasn't a thing until I got older. And then I look back like, wait, because again, like we're what I call heads, like music heads. And so at this point in my life, I've gone back and listened to actually like Sissy Drinkard and like the Drinkard sisters and like her Sissy's solo music and her old gospel music with her family and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And even her now knowing like she sang back up with Aretha and like knowing which record she's on there. So
Mm-hmm.
now to look back and remember, wow, the first concert that I can remember was her. It definitely hits way different. As a kid, I'm just thinking I'm at an event, like a church event, and like you know what I mean? So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Because that's a far cry from my first concert experience, right? Like,
yeah. What was yours?
my first, Lil Romeo and Friends.
Wow. Yes.
I don't remember who the friends were, but I just remember that it was called Lil Romeo and Friends, and
The Supreme
so
Tour Junior.
it very much so gave that. I remember there are two flashes that I can recall from the show, and they're the only two flashes I have from the entire experience. One, I remember, so I might have been no older than 8 or 9, because I remember being small, like short, because I had to stand on top of the seats that we had to see the show.
To see, yeah.
And I remember my cousin like holding my ankles because I was like dancing and like jumping. And I didn't notice my cousin let go of my ankles. So one of my legs slipped and I fell. So I
No.
remember the flash and me like I remember that. and the second flash was we were leaving as Romeo came to the stage. So I never really saw
Oh, so
Romeo.
you never.
I
So
just
you saw
remember
Friends.
I saw the
You did
friends.
not see Romeo. Wow.
I don't know.
Sorry to the
I don't know.
man.
I don't know. But
Yeah.
that was my first show of recollection. Now my first show of my own like attempt and energy and volition was or the one that I claim is Corinne Bailey Rae. I saw Corinne Bailey Rae
Mm,
during the C era, her second era, in Memphis at the New Daisy Theater. It's a standing room venue, maybe 900 cap. It was an incredible show. My mom was pregnant, way in the back. I was way in
yeah.
the front and like at her feet, just going crazy. Um, and it's an album I still listen to at least maybe once a month till this day.
Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, so that's I mean, considering Corinne now, that's quite a story because I did have an awesome
Yeah.
night there. But Lil Romeo and Friends, I remember falling, and then I remember leaving as they were like coming to the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also remember being like really late when he was coming, so I feel like maybe he arrived later than the rest of the show because it was like a random. I remember like waiting and being bored, and then my cousin was like, "All right, it's time to go." And then as we were like near the door, you hear the roar of the screams, like coming
Yeah.
to the stage. But
See, I realized early on that I couldn't go to concerts with family because when you go to concerts, like when you're a concert goer for real, you know that there's always gonna be a wait. Like there's always gonna be a wait. And I would go and take family with me to shows because you need somebody to go, like you're underage or whatever. But
yeah,
once I hit of age, I was like, this is done because y'all be ready to go too quick. Like you gotta have space and time to understand that the artist is not here yet. Like there's been many times, like I've seen Erica Badu probably 5 times,
hmm,
and every time I've waited. I've waited in the rain. I've waited because that's a part of this experience.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, absolutely. As a concert goer, and I'm so glad you mentioned it because it's something that I definitely want to do a separate video really soon about just the concert going experience, like the concert
yeah,
head versus the non-concert head, or like
yeah,
the casual fan versus the obsessed fan. Because I'm definitely showing up to any show that I'm typically in line for as the obsessed fan. So I'm
basically same.
in front of the venue, depending on the artist, depending on the location, because I do understand that certain artists are better to see in certain cities than others.
Yeah,
I also understand that your place in the venue, depending on the venue, is really important for how much you can enjoy the show, just for
yeah,
acoustics, for engagement, for view, for ability to go to the restroom and come back if that's something that you want to do at some point. Um, but it's a commitment thing, and I realize
yeah,
you can assume that commitment from everyone that's in your party if you're going to go to a
yeah.
group show. And I've definitely learned to not assume when it comes to my friends. And like we could like the same artist, but that doesn't mean we're gonna have the same concert
The
behavior.
show, yeah, it's different. We're coming to do two different things. Is what's
Two
happening
different
here.
things. Two
Yeah,
different things. So I will be with my very best friends on this planet going to a show as a group, and I'm like, so y'all know.
I'ma
Well, by
see
this point,
y'all.
they know at this point, but in the beginning, I was like, okay, so I have like three rules. Rule number one: if we're gonna go to a show as a group, I'm gonna arrive by myself because I don't need you trying to arrive as I want to arrive, and I also don't want the pressure of us having to meet each other up, or worse,
You
meet
making
with
me
each
late.
other and then go to the venue together. I don't
Oh
go
no.
to venues with people. We will meet in line when we meet in line. If you want to come in line with me, because typically I'm one of the very first few people in the line. If you want to skip the line to join me, go right ahead. Just know I'm not defending anybody.
No.
But I will acknowledge that you're my friend because you're with me, but I'm not heading.
But
So if
listen,
Sarah right behind us has a problem, you need to talk to Sarah
you gotta
because
talk to her because that's none of my business.
Sarah already knows me. We might follow each other
Shit,
on
we
Twitter
good.
now because
Right.
we were here an hour ago. I said, Sarah, I got friends coming, but Sarah didn't really know that I had 5 friends coming.
But why would you have five?
I wouldn't have 5 because all 5 wouldn't have the confidence to do that because they know I'm the
Yeah.
type of person that if Sarah was in front of me and you were Sarah's friend, I'm going off. So I don't play any of those
Yeah.
games. So rule number one, if we're going to a
It's
show
really
together,
hard.
we're not going to arrive together. Rule number two, once we get inside the venue, if it's a general admission show, please find your spot. Your spot does not necessarily have to be where my spot is. We can enjoy the show and reminisce when we leave the show. But I don't need you coming to the front of the stage, bogarting people out of the way, and then like, oh, I want to go get a drink. See, that's not at. See,
But
that's
see,
not. That's
the problem for me is most people don't want to. I'm going to the front. Most people
yeah.
don't want to do the work to get to the front. So I honestly I don't have these problems because normally people are like, oh, I don't want to. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll see you later, and then we good.
And see, I know from experience to not even give him the chance. So I just arrive early because I don't want any
Yeah,
issues. Like I'm the guy that's going to be in the venue 2 hours before the line. Like if the door opens at 7 and you're a fave of mine and I don't want to chance it, I'm going to be in line no later than 5.
yeah.
If it's raining, oh, even better because I got like a 30-minute grace period because no one wants to stand in the rain.
Because nobody wants to stand in the rain. Yeah,
No one wants to stand in the rain. But I don't drink liquids 2 hours to 3 hours before a show. If it's a show
yeah,
that has, as far as I know, 2 to 3 openers, I'm really not going to drink anything. And if I have drugs to smoke or carry on, I'm going to wait till the artist is on stage. If we get to a point where once we're inside the venue and I'm like, oh snap, I want to buy merch, well, I buy my merch immediately because one, there's not a guarantee the merch is going to be there when the show is over. And then two, you also got to make sure you get your size. So
yeah,
that's just super important. Like I have so many little concert rules. Like I said, my 3 main. I arrive solo. If you want to join me in the standing spot, if it's a general admission ticket, that's your own risk. And number 3, when it comes to meeting the artist or engaging the artist, if that's something that I want to do, I'm going to do it. If
yeah,
you want to do it as well, you need to put yourself in a position to do it with me. I've gone to shows with people and they will go outside and try to pull the car around before the show ends to avoid
yeah.
traffic. They will,
No,
run to the bar to get one
no.
more shot. They will at the end of
You
the show
gotta be. It's
they
a
will run to the
movement
merch
thing.
table to get merch.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, no, I already have my merch from before the show. I didn't drink at the venue because I pregame or snuck a bunch of little shot bottles in, or I did all of that, and then once the show ends, I'm still gonna pull a set list off the stage. You've seen my set list wall. I keep my
Yeah,
set list, and that's extra merch. Like if I don't have the budget for a T-shirt or an awesome hoodie, hashtag 20 years of joy and counting,
yes,
then
another joy.
I'm gonna spend a moment getting something because again, I'm ahead. That's what we do.
But again, it's really a movement and like instinct, and it's just a thing. Like you just you kind of just gotta have it. Like I came here for this experience and to make
Yeah.
the best of the experience, and so the best of the experience is like letting whatever happen happen. If there's space to meet the artist, absolutely. But that's also again, it's a process. It's a waiting game. It's like it's low key like there's like a science to the whole
hmm
thing.
hmm
And if you're not really in it, like if you try to pull a car up, you just go ahead. Like I'll catch you later because
And
it's
I'm okay with
different.
like the show ended 10 minutes ago. Okay, well, I'm waiting on the artist. If
Yeah,
they're gonna come out. If I can tell that the band is breaking down and the tour about to like the bus about to pull out, then I may pay it. But 95% of the time, I get the moments that I seek to have because
yeah.
again, like you said, it's a science and we know the
Hmm.
mechanics of it. Um, what's your first superstar kind of experience? And it don't have to be on an A-list level, but a superstar to you. What's one of your first superstar stand moments that
I have a really, really good one. So
okay.
I grew up, my mom, I grew up in the church, but my mom was very much the independent black woman in the 90s. She was very
Okay,
much like before Jill Scott came out with the hair wrap, my mom was wearing the hair wrap.
got you.
Like when Jill Scott came out, they were asking me, was that my mom? And I'm like, are y'all dumb? But yeah, so while we listen to the Fred Hammonds and the John P. Keys and the Kirk Franklins and all of those things, we also very heavily listen to Mary J. Blige, specifically Mary, but also Brownstone and SWV and all of those things. Great. But Mary kind of has always been like a staple in my life.
Mhm.
Like even when I was probably maybe 8 or 9, somewhere between that age. Um, my mom worked at the post office for a very long time, and she used to call me and like pass the phone around, and I would sing. I think it was either Real Love or You Remind Me. I would sing it like for all her coworkers on the phone. Like Mary's music is kind of like ingrained into my artistry and just into my
Mm-hmm.
life, just in general. And so I've gone to a lot of Mary things. Like one of my first concert experiences was I went to Mary. She was on Good Morning America. I think I was either a senior in high school and it was the summer before, or I was a freshman in college. Either way,
Okay.
I went to see Mary. She was on Good Morning America, and I got tickets to go. That's another thing. Like something that you would understand. Like early on, I figured out how to get access to this stuff because I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't grow up like with a lot of financial. So I figured out early on how to access, like how to get tickets to shows that were like free, because
Mm-hmm.
we love a free 99.
We love
And
it.
so I got to go to Good Morning America, and when I would go, like you could get extra tickets. So I would take people with me, and I took a really good friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine, Khalil. So Khalil Daniel, shout out to Khalil. I took him and my sister, not my little sister, she's 2 years older than me. Actually, she would kill me. I took my sister and my cousin. I took a group of people with me, and so over time, like I would continue to go to shows and I would take people with me. And Khalil and I kind of started doing a lot, going to a lot of shows together because we, again, the similar artists,
Yeah.
both love Mary. Um, but anyway, at the end of the day, years later, we go to a Mary show. He actually texted me and was like, "What are you doing? Meet me in the city at this address." But again, as a stand, you know kind of where it was around the time I want to say Growing Pains. I want to
Okay.
say Growing Pains. It was around, but it was album time. So as a fan, you know what's coming up, like where they're performing, whatever, whatever. So when he sent me the address, I'm like, mm, I think, but again, I didn't know, but I just whatever got myself together and went. Also, I had just got my first refund check, and I spent it on the dumbest. I can cuss a little bit. It's Twitter. I mean, it's
You
YouTube.
can you
I
do whatever you want. I curse,
spent
and I
my
don't like editing out my curses. I don't.
I spent my
I curse
refund
in real
check.
life.
I spent my refund check on dumb shit. I bought a Coogee outfit, a matching Coogee polo and jean set. So I go to see Mary. Mind you, this was a surprise. So I didn't even have the haircut that I needed in life at the time. So I have on this bright matching Coogee outfit. And I'm sitting on a bar stool. It's a serious satellite. So the stage was like in this glass box, and
Hmm.
we're sitting outside the box on like a bar type situation. So I'm looking the opposite way, and my friend is looking towards where Mary would be coming from. And so he kind of kept playing like, "Oh, there she goes," and I'm like, "Really, really?" And I go to turn around, and she's not there. So then we're like laughing. But then his everything changed, and he said, "There she goes," and I could tell like, "Oh no, oh there she goes for real." So I go to turn around to
Hmm.
see, and I fall out of the bar stool chair into the floor as Mary is walking as Mary is walking past. And so from what I remember, I feel like she was going to the bathroom if I remember correctly. So she just like kind of kept walking and came back, and it was as if it didn't happen. But now we can go to the picture. So we can fast forward to the picture where now we're taking a picture with her, and I genuinely in my soul feel like the moment they snapped the picture, she busted out laughing, thinking about it. Because as soon as we snapped the picture, she just like started laughing out of nowhere.
You see it all on her face.
Woo.
You see it on her face.
Also,
Like,
please remove
damn.
this picture. We never have to see it again. But yes, that is I guess that would be one of my first like superstar experiences. And when I meet Mary and we work together, I cannot wait to talk to her about it. She probably doesn't remember. But then also, how do you not remember somebody in highlighter color
Full
Coogee
Easter
shirt
garb. Full
falling
Easter
out?
garb.
How do you
Like
not remember that?
it
So
gave
yeah,
full Easter
it
garb.
gave Easter egg. Why? Why didn't anybody stop me? You know,
It's a lit fit. It's very springtime ready,
it's
so it's
very.
okay.
But you know what? You know what that's called? Growth. Okay. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm sorry. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny. Let me think. So I have an equivalent story. I don't know if I'll share the full thing, but it's with Janet. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I have an equivalent story with Janet. Way more embarrassing, however, it didn't happen in front of her. So that's the only
Okay.
thing. I get it not happening in front of her, but the story is much more embarrassing. So if I can give you any
Okay.
like little nuggets of optimism, it's that it's trust me,
So
it's
are
not
you
been bad.
not? Are we not getting it?
Well,
Or
no, I was gonna tell I have a Mary story too.
okay, we'll tell your marriage story, but I'm
I have a,
interested in this Janet story.
okay. Well, I'll tell you the Janet story, and then we'll do a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and get knee deep, and we'll fast forward a bit and get knee deep
Okay.
into some other cool stuff. So it is December 2019, only a year and a half ago now, or so. I was working in retail at the time. I was working in Soho for my 9 to 5 gig. I was actually selling luxury handbags on the resale market. So I worked for a startup. Well, actually, rewind. So for those that are unfamiliar, outside of my life in creative, like most people, there are other avenues and streams of income to help keep
Nine to
this
five
whole
just to
ship
stay
of
alive.
okay, that's what I was doing at the time.
Yeah.
But I actually loved that particular 9 to 5. I was working in luxury retail. I have about 4 years luxury retail experience between first act and resale, between apparel and then also accessories, particularly with handbags. So at this time, I was working for a startup by the name, well, I won't say their name, but I was working for a startup premier resale company in Soho at their flagship. And one day, Mary J. Blige walks through the door, like out of
Wow.
nowhere. Like I'm just, you're just tidying and organizing and busy working, and then you look up and fucking Mary J. Blige is in
Yeah.
your face, and she's by herself.
Wow.
Like no team, no body, no anybody. It's
Wow.
Mary J. Blige by herself, and she looks like Mary J. Blige. Like for us being, skin folk, we know what that's
Yeah.
like. Like that's Mary. Like
Yeah.
that's Mary. So preface the next part of the story by saying I'm the only black employee at this time in this particular store. I am one of the few employees that will engage clients that look ethnic, urban, black, with a sense of sauce. I'll say it full out. Um, so I would engage everybody because you never know what's in somebody's pocket based on how they carry themselves when they enter a retail store.
Yeah.
And I've learned that lesson time and time again. Never underestimate a potential client. So this lady walks in, fitted on, might have been a cropped jacket of some sort.
Come on,
What
a
I
crop
remember, it
flight
was like
coat. Yes.
it was Mary J. Blige in
Yes.
full Mary J. Blige drag, full MJB drag. She had on, and
Yes.
I'll never forget, I can't remember if it was Coach or Gucci, but whichever designer it was.
I
She
know it
had
was
the
a boot.
let me get to it.
Ooh.
Whatever designer it was, she had the monogram hat with the matching crop jacket with the
Uh-huh.
matching boots, and she was
Uh-huh.
wearing skin tight jeans
That's
because
Mary
it's
for
Mary
sure.
J. Blige.
That's Mary for sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she monogrammed down, looking like Yonkers through and through.
Yes.
With the blonde 613 that looked like he had just got cut under. It was fresh Mary J. Blige on a shopping adventure, right? So she's in the store. She walks in. I immediately recognize her, but then I still say hello and greet her like normal. And I try to keep a cool kind of like pose, right? There was no one else on the sales floor. There was someone in the very back of the store, but they couldn't see who the person was that I was engaging. So there was a particular bag at the time in the window. It was a Chanel bag. It was a Kelly Green Chanel bag, jumbo calf skin for all of my bag lovers out there. It was a Kelly Green jumbo calf skin, Chanel classic. And I did say jumbo, yes. It was in the window. So Mary walks in and she was like, "Hey, do you have any other green Chanel bags?" And I'm like, "Well, let me pull up the log," because we had our entire inventory on our iPad, giving the premier
Yeah.
sales experience. And I was
Getting
like, "But feel
fancy.
free to look around the store and I'm going to come back. My name's Key and I got you." She walks around the store for maybe a minute and a half. No, brim low, so no one's really
Mm-hmm.
peeping like who this lady is, and she's not fully engaging. just for identity protection sake. And then she comes back, and so she points to the Chanel bag in the window. She was like, kind of like that green, but another green. She couldn't think of the actual color name at the time, but she was looking for a Kelly green bag. So she was like, it's not Hunter, but it's not quite like the line that's in the window. And then so once I went through my list of green colors, I was like, oh, the Kelly green Chanel. I know exactly the bag that she was looking for, but we didn't have it in our stock. And around that time of us engaging, I guess she gets closer so you can see me get like, oh my gosh, like I hope my manicure is cute. Like it's Mary J. Blige. I'm swiping things in Mary J. Blige's face. Like I want to take this moment because we're in head, so I'm like, I gotta get my moment. But we gotta fine line. I'm the only black employee. Fine line. So what ends up happening as we're engaging, I'm yet to say this story, so I'm trying to say it like the most politically correctly possible. So as other colleagues begin to notice that she is who she happens to be, they begin to kind of swarm, and then she gets that sensation. And I tell her that she's been spotted, and she's like, okay. Like she whispers, okay. And then she's like, all right, I'm gonna go. And so another employee comes up and he's like, oh my gosh, I love your music. And the moment they say that, floodgates, everybody's looking. So now she has to get out the store. So as she's walking out of the store, I'm like, I'm losing my moment. My moment is literally walking away from me. So I say, excuse me, I think I found it. I think I found the bag. I'm lying. I run up there and I get really close. I get close enough so that nobody can hear me. I was like, it would kill me to not say this. Thank you for everything you've done. My mother loves your music. I love your music because of her. I'm sure you get this often, but I have to say this to you. Share My World saved my mother's life, and I'm grateful she's still here because of you. She said, thank you, gave me a hug, and hit it.
Slid right on out the door,
And that's it. That to date, that's my MJB story. Like it might have lasted maybe 2.5 minutes. But the entire time I was like, no, I have to say thank you. Like, and it wasn't even to get a picture. Nothing. I just wanted to say thank you. Like,
but I mean,
I need you to know what you've done for my family just by being yourself.
Yeah, sometimes it really is just those small moments. Like sometimes the picture and the whole moment, as Mariah Carey would say, it's awesome. But sometimes just the being able to actually just have that moment of acknowledgement and like what you do has really impacted me and my family. And like I said, like her music it's ingrained into us as people. Like we grew up using this music as the soundtrack to what was happening in our lives. So just to be able to say that, it's really dope. Even if it's not on record, even if it's not a picture.
Nope, I didn't ask for a picture because again, I was at work. And it would have been inappropriate because she's still a normal person trying to have a normal day. And you just can't forget that. So I didn't want to other her by being, oh my gosh, you're Mary J. Blige. And then I also didn't want to, because again, she is a part of the fabric of who we are as people, right? And I feel like sometimes us on the other side of the curtain can forget that. So we'll see Mary, be like, oh, hey, Mary, like we know her. But this is somebody who I don't know. So I still have to have that respect and guard because you don't know if she's out to shop to have fun or if she's out, if this is retail, like you don't know where people are.
Like you said, it's a very fine line, and it's almost like an energy thing. Like you have to feel the moment and the energy to understand, like maybe this isn't, while you may want a moment, this is a real person. And like this may not be the moment for them to give you that. And what you might get might not be what you want. And that's also another thing that I've noticed is that a lot of times when people have stories of having negative experiences with celebrities, sometimes it's just like you caught them at a bad moment. And a lot of times they'll tell you like, not right now or like whatever. And that automatically gets received as, oh, they're a diva, they're this, they're that. But honestly and truly, if you want the magical moment that you want from this person and they're telling you not right now, accept that because you're not going to get what you might get could be worse than the not right now. And that's real. So,
so that and that's my Mary story. Like it was quick. She saw a bag in the window she liked. She came in the store. We didn't have the bag. You know, I didn't ask her for her email information to try to get a capture and all that. I'm like,
you
know, because the manager's going to come around like, well, did you get their information? I'm like, no. You're going to ask Mary J. Blige for her email and expect to get a real answer. Like, She's gonna type in some.
But no. I'm saying if your coworkers didn't come and make it hot, like clearly it could have been a
Yes.
moment for
Yes.
even just for her actually making a purchase if everybody didn't come make it hot.
Yes.
But people don't be thinking about that. It just be
No
excitement.
couth whatsoever. Because to be completely transparent, if I would have gotten a chance to have a real selling experience with her, I would have at least sold her a bag, and she would have bought a
Yeah.
bag not from like a stand who knows her music to like go through all this with her. But I think she would have gotten something just because I would have treated her like a regular fucking
Yeah.
person. Like it didn't
No,
matter that
it was
she was
honestly
married
the
live so
perfect
much. It was just,
it was the perfect setup for an actual for a sale if they didn't make it hot. But
yeah.
I mean, but at
But
least in
at
all
least,
you didn't fall out of a chair. So I think you did well.
then there's the Janet story.
So
Then there's the Janet story.
are you going to tell me the Janet story?
I can. I'm gonna tell you the Janet story really quickly, then I'm gonna fast forward pee break. Actually, let me go pee first, and then I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
about wait.
Everything that glitters ain't gold. I don't wanna live this life alone. Cause all I really wanna do is split these bills with you. You know what I really like. You know what I really want. All my favorite places and you know just how I like to start. Post up on the gram, check the likes, you are the first one. Sweet, sour, you stress me too high. But you know all my secrets and you know I trust you not to tell. Maybe it's my ego, but my heart knows the deal.
Oh, so you really want this Janet story, right?
Oh yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you I want to do an abbreviated version because I actually want to do an entire episode dedicated to this scenario.
Okay.
A few of you listening may have heard the story before, but trust me, you have never gotten the full length as to what I'm going to give you really soon. But for now, another Cliff Note version. So, long story short, year is 2015. The tour is Unbreakable World Tour. I have never seen Janet in person. I've yet to see Janet in person at this time. And I am living in Atlanta, but I purchased tickets for the show in Memphis because I wanted to go home and see family and Janet at the same time. Also, this particular tour, it was the first leg of Unbreakable, and all of my connoisseurs out there that are Janet heads will honestly really know what I'm saying. So when Janet announced the Unbreakable tour, she announced 3 legs at the same time, but only released tickets for the first leg. So in the first leg, they were going to be amphitheater shows and arena shows. First leg arena shows, second leg amphitheater and theater, and the third leg I think was a mix of amphitheaters and festival gigs for the summertime. So I got my ticket for the first leg. It was an indoor arena for Memphis at the FedEx Forum. I chose to go to that venue because I didn't want to see Janet outdoors because I didn't think I would like the acoustics because it's a Janet show. Why am I seeing her outdoors? So I wanted to go indoors to protect myself from weather and to also get a better show. So I went home to Memphis. Long story short, I pregame way too hard.
Oh no.
3 blunts, 2 Long Islands. I might have ate half of a teriyaki hot wing the entire day.
Oh, this is already a disaster.
Yes. So the story goes, Kyere gets shit-faced, goes to the restroom to try to recover before Janet comes on stage. Somehow sits on the toilet, falls asleep, wakes up, the show is over.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
No.
The custodian was tapping on the door. Hey, I have to clean. The custodian
Wait,
woke
so
me up.
like everybody was
venue was, there were maybe 100 people still in the venue when I got out the restroom. Everything was shut down, merch stand shut down, packed up, gone.
So
Stage shut
you
down, packed up, gone.
saw not 1 second of the show.
I never saw Janet. Oh, I did actually. I did see Janet because for this particular tour, she had a music VIP like museum for all of her iconic memorabilia. So I have
Hmm.
pictures walking through the venue, taking like I have pictures of Janet's memorabilia in her My
Right.
Music VIP museum, which is what she called it. And then I have a picture of the venue from my seat when I got to my seat, and they were doing the pre-show
Mm.
mix. But I went to the restroom because I was like, well, the show's about to start. I'm not gonna freaking move to what? Who has to pee while Janet's on stage? Not me.
Right.
So I went to the restroom beforehand. Never made it back. And it gets even worse, but I'm gonna save those
Mm.
details. It gets worse. It gets worse.
In some ways, yours is less embarrassing because Janet didn't see it, but either way.
I'd rather Janet have seen me fall than for me to go to the show and spend it in a restroom stall. Like,
Mm.
like
I'm
there's
so sorry,
nothing.
friend.
There's whatever. You know, like, ugh. I carried that guilt for months. It was about a year before I could even tell anybody that story. I would have friends
Oh,
that were so excited for me to go to the show. They were like, "What happened?" I'm like, "I don't want to talk about it." It took
yeah.
months for me to be able to share that story. I don't think me and my mother spoke for weeks because I blamed her for me pre-gaming too hard. Like it was a
Oh my
thing.
God.
It was a thing, Rob. Like it was a thing. Yeah, it's totally her
Poor
fault. No,
mom.
no, just kidding. No, it's totally my fault. I shouldn't have consumed so much because I had already created my rigorous list of like do's and don'ts before a concert. So why would I not listen and check in with my own list?
Yeah.
For what was to be the biggest and most
It was
important
the
show.
excitement, you know.
It was exciting. It was finally happening. Like it was
Yeah.
finally happening. But it wasn't that day. It did happen 3 years later for Essence Festival in New Orleans when she
Okay.
did the State of the World tour. I did get
Yeah.
to catch her, and I caught her with my very best friends, and it was an amazing gig. We almost got thrown out thanks to me before the show, but it was okay.
What?
I tried to light a blunt in the Superdome because I was excited.
See, not down to the Essence Fest. The aunties will definitely have you kick
Oh, the
smooth out.
aunties!
They will
Oh,
have you going.
Auntie said he over
Yes.
here, and I put that shit out so fast. I was like,
No.
no. Auntie said he over here. When security came up because they could smell it and they heard the people
Hmm.
complaining, he over here.
Yeah.
And she said, "See, I'm gonna do it again." I put it out, and I was like, "Okay." And I put it out. She just sat right back. She's like, "See, I'm a snitch."
Wow.
Yes, but it was an incredible show. Janet killed it. The kids killed it. It was wonderful. Fantasia actually that was a big day. I saw Janet, Fantasia, and SWV all back to back to back.
See, Essence Fest is like that. Is I mean, I've always loved Afro punk as out of festivals. That was kind of my favorite for a while. But
Hmm.
experiencing Essence Fest, I want to say I went 2019, 2018 or 2019. What was the year where Shaka?
17.
Okay, 27. See, ever since I moved to Atlanta, time does not it doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
It's just yeah. But experiencing that is crazy because it's the same. Like experiencing Essence Fest, the amount of blackety black artists at once, it is all like literally like bucket list artists at the very same time. Like there, I saw Shaka Khan, Layla Hathaway, Mary J. Blige, Sullivan, and Ari Lennox all singing on the stage at the same time. Like, what is this? Like, you
Is that the
can,
year you also saw Tweet?
yeah, I saw Tweet, I saw Kelly Price, I saw Moses Sumney. That's another one of my cool concept stories where, so Essence Fest had dropped the schedule for the shows, and I
Yes.
was on the schedule. It was, they have the different spots. So they have the big stage, and then what is it? It's like the super lounges or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
The Ford Super Lounge or like the different sponsored super
Right.
lounges. Yeah.
So the way they had it set up on the schedule, initially they had Kelly Price and Moses Sumney and somebody else. I can't remember who the other person was, but it was Kelly and Moses at the very same time. And when the day it came out, I tweeted like, how am I supposed to choose between Kelly Price and Moses Sumney? Like, what do you do? And Moses Sumney like liked this tweet. I think he like responded and said something funny or whatever. But we get to the show, and again, it's kind of another experience of being ahead and like your friends not really. They're like they didn't know Moses Sumney at the time, and this was like you said, 2017. So even now, he's still
Hmm.
kind of building and growing that fan base. But at the time, it was still like it was something that I was on to early. So they're like, all of my friends are sitting all the way in the back, like by the bar, all the way at
Gotcha.
the back.
Yeah, and over there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like all the way at the front center, and he's performing. He does a couple songs, and then he says, "Oh, I guess Kelly Price isn't performing right now, huh, Rob?" And I was like,
Cool.
what? And then I like go to look around to find my friends, and D-Ray with the vest is standing right next to me. Like,
Mm.
this is the most random thing. And my friends are like, now they're like scuffling, like, wait. I'm like, no, you were supposed to be right here the whole time. But again, like, it was just, again, just one of those moments that are like, just really cool, like concert moments. And that's kind of the thing that I love about being an artist as well as just a fan of music is being able to get both ends and both sides of the spectrum and just sometimes it's just having the joy of being a listener and a fan and experiencing these moments outside of thinking about being a creative and being an artist. Sometimes I do like to sit back into the seat of who I've always been, and that's just a fan of music, to just enjoy moments like that. So yeah,
No, and that's honestly, I feel like that's what we're here to do. I
yeah,
know that in a lot of spaces, you'll meet fellow stands or, just heads in those moments, and energies could just be totally different.
yeah,
Like I've been in moments where there's that stand that they just want to get close to the artist and they want to be the
hmm
closest to the artist so that they can
hmm
seem more exclusive than anyone. And then you have the
That's
ones
the thing.
like,
Sometimes I find that I appreciate being able to like kick it with you because sometimes I find that people who are similar to us, they kind of do have this like I want to be the only one energy. And it's just like it doesn't it's not necessary. Like do you really think that you're the only person in the whole wide world that experiences these things?
mhm.
It's universal, and that's the beautiful thing about it. So yeah, but it's not always the vibe isn't always right. But again, sometimes those are sometimes the people who aren't really in it for the reasons why we're in it anyway.
Yes,
So
yes, and that's something really big for me when it comes to like protecting my energy in those environments because you're
yeah.
at a show to be open and to be vulnerable and to give back or to receive and to do both with the artist. But then sometimes there's the energy that's literally right beside you that could
hmm
start to mess up in the name of selfishness or whatever whatever
Yeah.
whatever may be coming from them. That you just have to learn that if you're going to go to concerts, if you're going to seek these type of moments with the artist, that these are the people that you have to like look out and watch out for.
Yeah, and I
Because
mean
it's a real thing.
another part of it is being able to like go with the flow and move with what the energy is. So,
Yes, and everyone can't do that, which is also why
hmm
it's important to make sure that the friends you take to concerts are the friends that you can enjoy the concerts with.
but real quick, you mentioned like Essence Fest and we talked about the aunties and all that, and I wanted to
Hmm.
talk about because in 2017 I saw Solange at Essence Fest, which actually I've seen her quite a few times too because I saw her in the Soul Angel era and all of that. But I saw her at Essence Fest. And it was amazing. And me and my friend were like going up for Solange and like all of her records. Like she did, it was the a seat at the table set, but then she kind of like throws in other stuff here and there.
Yeah,
And it was a set. It was a girl sitting behind us with her mom. And the girl came and tapped us after the set and was like, for one, I already could feel like the difference. Like it wasn't like the normal Solange show crowd because it's Essence Fest, it's
yeah,
everybody. And you don't realize Essence Fest is a great space to realize how different artists connect with different generations of Black people.
Yes.
So, you know, our like we go to Solange shows almost like, especially a seat at the table and that, it's almost like a spiritual experience, and it's like it's a whole thing, and it's like it's exciting because it's great representation for us as younger Black people.
Absolutely.
So the girl tapped us and she was like, I just wanted to tell y'all that my mom said that she didn't know that people listen to Solange music. And because you guys were so excited, she wants to go home and listen to Solange. And I thought that was so cute. But then months later I went and I saw Solange at Afropunk Atlanta. And
Hmm.
that was like, for one, seeing the two differences, seeing her in both arenas was special. But seeing the difference between the two, and honestly and truly seeing like young Black people really feel like at home at
Hmm.
Afropunk, watching Solange, like, you know, she does she pulls somebody from the crowd and like sings to them, and like all the like blackety black shit. And
Hmm.
seeing that at Afropunk, it's just an experience you can't even like explain. It's
Yes. I love her live instrumentation when she's touring,
yeah,
because we don't see people perform with big bands anymore.
no. But I mean, it's again being intentional and like the attention to detail and even the dances and everything. I love it.
So the crazy thing is, I actually was at this particular Afropunk. That's the
Wow,
crazy thing. That's act to date. It's my sole Afropunk experience, 2017. Because that's the
wow,
year SZA did it. Raphael Sadiq did the day after, because Solange and SZA were on Saturday. I think
yeah,
Princess Nokia was that day. I saw Macy Gray that day. It was an incredible day. It was very packed.
yeah.
Um, and I felt incredible. I looked awesome. But yeah, that's my only Afro punk experience, at least in the physical. I've
Okay.
had the wonderful privilege of having some of my work featured on their platform a couple of times. Work
I
that
was gonna
Kendrick and
say,
I have done.
for one, shout out to Afropunk, and shout out to Kendrick because Afropunk has posted, they've written about my music quite a few times. To one point they literally, the article said Afropunk fave, and I was like, whoa.
Whoa.
But yeah, actually I said shout out to Kendrick because I think the first time they posted me was my song Bad Habit, which Kendrick actually did the album cover for my album
For Rebirth,
Rebirth,
right?
which is
Hmm.
one of my favorite album covers I've ever had. It's super dope. And Bad Habit is actually one of the songs that, no matter what I do, like even with Comfortable, like I think Comfortable is the best song, might be one of the best songs I've ever done. No matter what I do, there's at least 10 people that are always going to be like, but Bad Habit though. And I'm like,
Hmm.
bruh, it was 2015, but no, yeah. But shout out to Afropunk. I honestly, I started going to the one in Brooklyn, some years back when I was working. I used to come, I used to literally make up projects to like EPs so that I could sign up to go to Converse Rubber Track Studios. And I used to just go to Brooklyn and record in their studio, and just I've did quite a few projects there. But that's how I started going to Afropunk, and I've seen a little bit of everybody. I ran casually ran into Daily in the crowd. Like,
Yes,
um,
Daily. I love
I've
me some
seen,
Daily.
I saw D'Angelo. The first time I seen D'Angelo perform was at Afropunk, but then I saw him before that. I went to the Red Bull Music Academy where he did the
Hmm.
talk or whatever. But yeah, Afropunk, like for me, was kind of my intro to festivals because everything else was so far away, and like I was never really totally fully into all of the lineups, to be honest. But Afropunk felt like, oh, all of these people, like this is for me. Like I want to say I think the first year I went, Alice Smith was there, and like I seen Janelle for the first time at Afropunk. I saw Tyler the Creator at Afropunk. Like it just felt like it was the easiest festival, but it felt like where I was supposed to be. So I love Afropunk. Yeah.
No, I completely understand what you're saying and agree. I honestly feel like my sole experience at Afropunk Brooklyn, because it had set such a precedent. I was like, until I get a lineup that slays this one, I think
Yeah,
I'm good. And I think the following year ended up being, I'll say maybe 35 to 40% of the lineup remained pretty consistent. So I was like, okay, not this year.
yeah,
So not this year. Um, and
yeah.
so
Once I
I'm kind of
moved
still waiting
here,
till I find that lineup.
yeah, once I moved here, the lineups kind of, I didn't feel, not that they were bad, but I just didn't feel like they were worth going all the way to New York for, especially once they started doing it here. And then I was like, perfect, because they would, I mean, to be honest, some of the people that do Brooklyn still do Atlanta, so it works.
Exactly. Especially when you get to like
But
the Solanges and the Scissors and the Janelles.
yeah, but now we're in a Ponderosa, so who knows if we'll
Yes, now we're
ever
all pressed into
see it again.
Panini.
Yes.
So keeping the motion going and talking about concerts.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, because I see here in the file, that you got to see one of my particular favorites, and I'm wearing one of our collaborations.
Mm.
Joy, the one and only
She's
Star
also one of my
Kitty.
favorites. Yes.
Yes, the one and only Star Kitty, aka the Savage Immortal Righteous Rebecca
Yeah.
Holy Love herself. You got to see her at Afropunk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull the clip now, but tell me about that experience. Like, so you're in Atlanta, you're living in Atlanta now, and you're
Yeah.
going to Afropunk, and you get to see the one and only fucking Joy on stage.
So seeing Joy at Afropunk, period, is dope to me. Because I feel
Hmm.
like that's a great audience for her. But for two, it's actually like layered, to be honest. Because for one, the shout out to Malik Onay, who was singing backup on the set.
Hmm.
I actually sung backup for her a year prior to this.
Yes.
So, and then on top of that, Brooke DeLoe,
Mother
I'm a
freaking Brooke
big
DeLaw, don't get me started
Brooke
on
DeLoe.
Brooke. I
I'm a big
mean,
Jay Davy stan.
we're
And
both J
so
Davy
seeing,
babies. Yes.
yeah, so seeing him up there was like, whoa, like just the whole thing was like, okay, wait. Also, I mean, I've been myself on the internet at this point for a couple of months, so I feel like this is okay to say. But at this point, I was looking for, and shout out to Twitter where I do my most foolishness. But at this point, I was looking for a job, and so I was trying to, put a halt on my Mary consumption. And
Not you have to put the Lord's music down to figure yourself
no,
out,
no,
bro.
no. Okay. Yes. So I had to take the shackles off my feet,
Okay, so you can
so
dance.
that I could get a
Yes.
job.
Uh-huh.
And what happened, and honestly, I believe it was right before Joy's set. There was these three girls because, of course, I made my way to the front. You know how we do.
Hmm.
And in the front, there was right, like I guess it was kind of like I was in the second row because there was this set of three girls. They had afros, they were beautiful, and they were rolling a blunt in front of my face because it's the festival, so like we like
Yeah.
this close. So they're like trying to roll, but like literally like right here in front of my face. And I'm like, first of all, I'm starting to get an attitude because I'm like, are y'all dumb? Then as they finish, they're like, oh, did you wanna? And I'm like, in this moment,
Yeah.
do I say no? I'm trying to get a job. Of course, I say yes. So by the time Joy, by the time Joy performed, I was lit for the first time during the whole festival. So it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect just seeing her do like the jams and just I love the rock element of what she does, as
Hmm.
well as like I said, shout out to Malik Onay and Jill Rock Jones who were singing backup for her at that time. I just love like pre-show interviews with fans, with myself and the director, Paul Abraham. And it was just really dope to hear people, like you said, tell their stories about how they've affected her. Or I'm asking, like, what's your favorite? When was the first time you saw her? And a lot of them, their first time they saw her was at like this really, really big monumental starter moment of her career where she was performing with Rochelle Farrell. I believe it was
Hmm.
Rochelle Farrell. And it happened to be at center stage where we were at the moment. And it was just like this magical, it was
Wow.
just this magical thing of, again, just seeing the way that the art and what we do affects people and
Mhm.
how they like they almost not almost but to some extent they use this thing to help them cope with their life with what they have to go back home to. So yeah, they have to go back home, but this is coming and doing this and experiencing this gives them what they need to go back home and continue to do what they're doing in the same way that us flipping it as a creative, us creating this gives us the space to do the same. So yeah, it's beautiful. But it's really fun working shows. Like my first time, I've been a fan of Avery Sunshine for years, and one of my favorite moments, and actually talked about it with her on my podcast, Glow Up Rob. Shout out to anybody who listens. Um,
Yes.
one of my favorite moments from her was always this clip. Fantasia was doing an interview, and Avery Sunshine was in the building for her own interview, but the guy who was doing the interview saw her and asked her to come play
I think I know
something.
this clip. They were by a piano.
Yes.
Yeah, I know this
Yes, and
clip.
it's just that's it's you if you know that clip, you know, like it's just a moment. But my first time seeing her live was actually working a show with her. So it's
Okay.
super dope. Like I have helped them set everything up, help bring the equipment, help do all this thing, help do all these things, like help with the family and such and so forth. And then I get to the side of the stage as she's walking up and goes to perform, and I realize to myself, I've never seen her sing live before. So now I'm standing on the side of the stage, like in awe,
Hmm.
experiencing this in kind of a multi-level, which is beautiful. Like life is beautiful, and these moments are the things that keep me. Yes, this clip is like, but yeah, these are the moments that keep me going and like keep me feeling like this is even worth it. To be honest.
No, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So my joy story actually begins. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of rewinding right now because I realize you and I are both getting a little ahead of ourselves. So
Yeah.
every sunshine, if I'm allowed to say, is I guess your first from fan to colleague kind of experience.
Yeah, so I moved here and I was working at Whole Foods. And I want to say within the probably maybe the first month of me working at the Whole Foods, I kind of think it was the first week. But again, sometimes my stories are,
That's okay.
they're not always the truth. um, but yeah, so however, whenever it was my first whatever amount of time being in Atlanta, I was working at Whole Foods and she came in. And I, the thing about working at Whole Foods, especially here, is that everybody in the industry and all of the industries come there.
Yes.
And the thing about you and I is that we know very many people who are under the radar who they don't have to like wear their brim low like Mary did. They can walk in Whole Foods and everything is good until they see Rob Milton at the register. And I'm like, hey, come on over here. And so I definitely used to when I was saw people that I knew and I just would tell them to come to my register and just have a like regular interaction with them. And I used to invite her. I used to tell her and her husband to come to my register. They used to come. Well, after the first time, they just would. After the first time, they all would always come back because I mean, it's me. Like it's an
Yeah.
experience. It's my green hair, like the whole thing. It just was. It was a thing at Whole Foods. And so I did an interview on this guy, Don Bean's podcast, and I think Dana, Avery's husband, Dana Johnson, he listens to the podcast and he's friends with the Don. So he heard me on the podcast and he was like, okay, I think we're supposed to do something. Like, I think there's something that's supposed to happen here. And that ended up turning into quite a few different things. Like, Uncle Dana, as I lovingly call him, is a member of our group cousin. He does some production for us. Most of the production, he did the cousin volume one, and there's a volume two, which you guys will eventually hear. Um, he is co-producing my album. He kind of co-produced Love Games and all of the things. So those things have happened, but also I've been blessed to be able to work shows with her. I've been blessed to actually write on her upcoming album. I
Yes.
co-wrote, I want to say, 2 songs on her album. I also creative directed her music video for a single that is soon coming, I believe.
Okay.
And so yeah, that is kind of my first. Also produced a documentary. Just like it was my first chance to have somebody actually believe in what I do creatively and give me the space to do it with them on their thing. Like I've had a lot of experience collaborating with people. Like I had B Slade on my song. I had Georgia Joe on my song. I've had done different things. But when it comes to someone giving you the space, someone believing you enough to say, "Help me with my thing,"
Yes.
it's
Big.
different, and
Big.
especially when it's somebody that you respect creatively. So working with her and her believing in me enough to like send me a rough track and say, "Listen, I need a hook. What should I say here?" I send a hook back on a voice memo, and she calls me singing it. Like those are moments that I as a kid I wanted to experience and I wanted to believe that I could, but the world told me I couldn't. And to now be able to do them and without while I would love the big label, the big experience, I would love the big money experience, I would. But being able to experience these things without that, just knowing that it's just me, like nobody, I don't have a manager, I don't have nobody's making these connections, but me and it's me being me like me not it's not me filling in a space of trying to be somebody else or do what somebody else is doing.
Yes.
It's literally just me being me. Like all the goofy, I don't even know if you would believe, like all the goofy shit I do on Twitter and that I post and that everybody like goes up for. I send that same stuff to Avery Sunshine and we laugh about that same stuff. And so just being able to experience that, it's beautiful and it's also exciting because I know that more is coming. Specifically with songwriting, there's already some things that I've said on Twitter that I probably wasn't supposed to, but she has said some things too. So there's some Gunica connections in the works. I'll say that.
Yes. I was
Um,
gonna ask because I thought I saw the Queen of Noonan on your T-shirt.
you did, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yes, the Queen
yeah,
of Noonan herself. She has me blocked
yeah.
on Twitter, but I love her.
Oh no, see. I don't even want to ask why.
I
I'm not
actually
gonna.
don't know. I don't know. I keep my Glock in my clutch hard for mine. So I don't even understand how I could ever keep.
Maybe it was a blockchain. You just somebody was following
Yeah,
you or
yeah, yeah.
something.
It was a disgruntled assistant or something like searching her
Yeah.
name. I
Yeah.
don't
Bye.
understand how I got blocked. I mean, there are other
Yeah.
artists who I completely understand, and they probably should have blocked me sooner. But Monica, I have never uttered
You
any words.
know, it's like two, and how did we get to this? There are 2 blocks that I have that I'm aware of. One that I may be deserving of, the other one that I don't know why. One, so everybody knows Chrisette went to the inauguration, but nobody talks about the other person that went with Chrisette. He is a gospel artist, and they actually went and sang his song. And the day, I'm not going to say his name, but
I
the
mean, it's
day,
Googleable information at
yeah,
this
I
point.
mean, yeah, but I don't, because it's love, but like, so the day that they went to the inauguration, he posted a picture of him and his singers with a shirt, and it was like, not black, not white, American, I think. And then it was a caption was a Martin Luther King quote on some like peace something something. So of course, in because again in the moments of like social injustice and all those things, we get angry and like social media kind of like makes it you get somewhere to like So I went and found a Martin Luther King quote that was a bit more militant.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey, I think this was the caption you meant to use." And
Yeah, like I see
he
what you
blocked me.
did there.
I see what you did there, but I think,
That
yeah,
wasn't
he
supposed to
blocked
be the
me.
thing.
Now, the other person that has me blocked that I'm honestly offended about
Okay.
is I don't know if you watch Love and Hip Hop. Do you watch Love and do you engage in the Love and Hip Hops? So, Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, there is Lyrica Anderson,
Oh,
who,
okay. Well, I know Lyrica outside of the Love and Hip Hop thing. She has a
okay,
sickening pen, and I had already,
yes, yes,
pinged me. Both
She's
King Me
incredible.
EPs and
Yeah.
the acoustic versions. So yes, I do know
So
that.
her mom does this thing where she sings in the car and she posts the
I've
video.
seen those.
I love, I love these videos because she be singing like, I think maybe she thought I was posting it as shade, but like she be singing down, like just in the car, like killing everybody. Lauryn Hill, like she'll sing lyrical songs. I'm like, why are you eating everybody up? And I normally like I probably maybe like once a month I'll go to her page and be like in love with all the videos and just like whatever. And I went recently and I am blocked. She has, and I've never tagged her. I've never like, I don't know what happened. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Lyrica G, man. I love her.
No, incredible artist. So I definitely know
Yeah,
of her work prior to
yeah.
loving hip
Because
hop.
she co-wrote on Jealous and all of that. So,
Yeah.
but her music is like incredible.
Yes, and should
So
not
so
mess
so
with.
good.
And if you're unfamiliar with the King Me EPs, please get on both
Yeah,
of those and the acoustic versions of both of those and whatever she's
yeah.
released since. Because I'm not. I think it's
She
been a couple.
released. I want to say she released an album last year, and it's good. It's good.
I'm
And
gonna check it
also,
out.
like I think the year before that was the Adia. That was good. Like she's killing.
No, she's definitely sick. But I didn't want to get too far away from the Avery
Sorry, yeah, I'm sorry, I
conversation.
ruined it.
No, you're totally fine. This is the space for detours here. So one thing that's incredible, and I also want to draw that parallel back to the Joy experience that I've been having
Yeah,
for the last few years, is that these are very parallel kind of moments that we've been able to share with these awesome creatives that have inspired us, right? Like
yeah.
immensely. So in terms of Joy, I actually met her. It was One Music Fest 2013 here in the city. I was an undergrad at the time, still at Morehouse, and I'd won tickets to the festival through the school paper, the Maroon Tiger. So I'd gotten all-day passes for One Music Fest. Well, all-day pass, because at the time it was only a one-day fest. This is before they transitioned to 2 years. So Joy was one of the two official hosts for the overall day for the festivities. So Joy's hosting, and so I'm seeing her on stage in between sets, like the first half of the day. And at this point, Stan Brain is scheming. I'm plotting how I can have my Joy moment because it's
Yeah,
Joy. Like
it's Joy.
Joy.
Yeah.
Joy is on stage, like Joy herself. And at the time that they shared on something, I don't even know if it was created like this or if she found somebody to just kind of creative genius something, but she was wearing this like handkerchief kind of dress. Like it was a dress with a front, it was like front and back panels of just like handkerchiefs that were not on the side.
I love it.
So I couldn't tell if it was created as this or whatever, but it didn't fucking matter. It was incredible. So her whole like side was out all the way down because in true Joy fashion, heels up to fucking here.
Yes.
You know, lots swaying in the wind. I was like, I have to have a Joy moment. So
they love to talk about Megan knees, but I love like one thing that I love about Joy. She would get down on her knees in the highest shoes in a show.
In the highest shoes,
Yes.
all the way down.
I mean, all the way down. Yes.
All the way. But no. So that particular gig, it's between two different sets, and I see her walking to like her host trailer. Like by this point, I've espionaged all of her movements in between sets, so I know probably where she may go.
Yeah.
So I can put myself in the direction so that she can pass me and I can stand out. So at this particular moment, she's making her way off stage to one of the host trailers. And I see her and I go to the side of the gate, like where she's going to pass. And I just start screaming. And she comes over and, you know, insert Stan spiel here. Like, oh my God, I love you. You changed my life. Like, and for my spiels, I don't know if you're the same way, but when it comes to Kyere having a spiel with an artist, I always try to lead with quirk and wit and something that I know they don't hear. So like I'm not gonna meet Joy and say, "Oh my God, I love Lick."
No, exactly. But people don't giving the game away. You giving the game away too much.
No. I don't mind giving the game away because that's what we're here to do. We're here to educate on how people can honor and give flowers to the people that have inspired us in ways that are above bullshit kind of tones, right?
Above the regular.
So I don't want to give her the, oh my God, I love you, Joy, so much. I love your song Lick. I play it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So I went on my whole Kyere spiel. I don't remember half of what I said, but I remember some of the like pieces of just randomness I threw at her. Because I'm like, no, I'm not going to talk about Lick. I'm going to talk about track 23 from album 4. I want to talk about That's the Truth. I want to talk about I Love You Forever Right Now. You know, I want to talk about Copycat. I want to talk about, you know, You Turn Me On. And I want to give honor to, you know, Peach. May she rest high above in the skies where she lays. You know, like, I want to talk about that. You know, I don't want to talk about, oh my God, you're on Liberation with Alcaz. Oh my God. And these are incredible works, but people I've seen don't often give artists their flowers for all of the other incredible works that they've done, right? So I wanted to give her those flowers in that moment, and I was able to do so. And I asked if she would take a picture with me, and I'm going to post a picture. This is where you see the picture now. But I said, let's take a picture because we're going to work together. So I want us to take a picture now so I can reference it later. So fast forward, this is 2013. Fast forward maybe a year and a half, not even a year and a half, honestly, maybe half a year. My first photography freaking credit. I'm a published photographer, actually, and I can show that really quickly. I'm a published photographer with some awesome photos that I captured at a Joy gig. She was celebrating the 20th anniversary of her debut album, Pendulum Vibe. And I was in the audience, you know, at the barricade, in the front, like I'm supposed to be. And I captured both of these incredible images.
Beautiful. I love the wings.
Thank you. And it was a photography first of mine. I just captured them, and later on I had sent her the images, and she loved them. And I thought, okay, well, that's it. Maybe, you know, maybe she'll post them, maybe not, whatever. It's just out of love. And she hit me up on this. She was like, hey, so I'm thinking about using these for this article placement in Uptown Magazine. And I was like, what?
What? Absolutely.
And so that's my first official photography credit on the books. And so I have so many firsts in my career to thank her for. In addition to that, this very hoodie that I'm wearing, like I mentioned, it's merch that I designed with her. Pretty minimal front because at the time she was touring and celebrating hashtag 20 years of joy and counting, which was her world tour, essentially chronicling her career at that point to date. And just all of the awesomeness with the fans. The back actually says, it's a never-ending pitch black goddess situation. Which lyrics from Ruler from the Sir Rebecca Holylove album, which is now available. So just incredible stuff. Like I would have never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would have the opportunities that I've been presented, and not just with Joy, but with other artists that are also incredible and do dope work that I just would have, the kid in me could have never imagined that this would be my life, right? Even though the kid in me couldn't have imagined me doing shit else.
Listen, that's the thing is, how dope is it that our 10,000 hours is like doing shit that we absolutely love doing now? Like that's cool. Yeah.
15-year-old me would have never believed it.
See, I would have, 15-year-old me wanted it, but was like, nah, you're too this, you're too that, it's not this, it's not that, like all of that. And so I've actually find myself stop saying I couldn't have imagined it, because honestly, I did, but I just didn't imagine it for me.
Yes.
I just imagined it being possible to happen in the world. And so now, even to be honest, to this moment, and you mentioned Issa, but even with that, in every moment of things happening, I have found myself always like, really? Are you sure? Is it really gonna happen? And I mean, I've expressed this to you, but like this year, believe it or not, like 2021 is the year of me finally feeling like, no, absolutely. This is, yes, nigga, you're a rock star. Like this is your shit. Like
this is your life.
This is you. Like I'm actually done with the. Are you sure? Nah. This is it. This is what I was destined for.
Once you wake up and realize, oh, I'm actually done playing small.
Yeah. No, that's literally what it is. Like I've decided this year I'm done with that.
No. I mean,
it's different. It feels different.
It hit different. It does.
It does. It really does.
Different. It does.
And I don't at all mean that I'm not. I'm a Cancer, so I'm still very soft and humble. I'm still very Missy Elliott. I'm always going to be humbly grateful. But also, I'm just at a space of knowing I am destined for this. And so the things that are happening, they're a surprise, but they're not a surprise because this is who I am.
Yes. And on that note, we're going to lead into our last break, and then we'll come back and pretty much wrap up this awesome conversation with a few of our all-time favorite kind of moments. Because we can this is a love fest. We're going to keep celebrating, and we're going to keep...
Why do I keep doing this like it's a game show?
I don't know. I like talking with my hands, and I feel
Me
like
too.
doing a lot of this. So maybe just because you just want to, like, jazz hands. I don't know.
It's also, yeah, Jazza Gals.
Okay. Her Jazza Gals.
Yes.
No, so I'm incredibly excited to talk about this last segment. It's refreshing to hear someone else's stories or parallel experiences about loving an artist, championing an artist, and honestly being blessed with the opportunity to work with them and alongside them. Because I know in your case with Avery, and definitely in the case with myself and Joy, and others, that it's not something that we take for granted, and it's not something that goes. It's not something that's like, oh, okay, yeah, like that's something that happened. Like, these
because
that are literally changing our lives.
And it's something I realized
that they don't even realize. Like outside of the content output, it's just the refreshing,
just the experience,
emotional investment. It's like, that's something that I grapple with Joy. When we're like, if we're joking about something in a text, I'm like, it's just 5 a.m. Like me and Joy are sending random screenshots of like shit out of our journals. Like, what is this?
I had a show in Nashville. Again, crazy. I had a show in Nashville, and I asked Uncle Dana would he play the show for me, and he said yes. So this is something that I literally will never forget this. We rode in a car, me and Crayon, my group member, Uncle Dana, and Avery, to Nashville from Atlanta, and went and did my show and like had a like road trip to Nashville, and then came back here to Atlanta. And it was just the most, like you said, like you're texting at 5, like we in the car, like like this is crazy. But yeah, it's just beautiful. Again, like I said, beautiful life experiences that are meant to happen to me. I'm grateful for them.
No, so I hope anyone who's listening or watching us can pull a bit of our awesome stories and receive some inspiration from it. Just to stay committed, keep your head low, and when it's necessary, keep your head high and take a break from it, because you can't just grind, hustle. You have to reflect. You have to enjoy the experience. And then on top of that, you also have to do the work on your own prior to. That's the one thing that people can never get it twisted.
It's really not. It's not for the faint at heart. Please understand. It's a thing. It's a big thing.
It's not for the faint of heart at all. All right, so we want you to check out some more Rob Milton music, or Son of the James music, or Cousin music, because there's so much music to check out while we're on this next break. But when we come back, we're going to talk about some of our favorite concert moments overall. And then we're also going to get a little bit into Rob's favorite personal moments outside of being a fan, but as an artist performing as well. So you're on the air with me, Key, with him, Rob, and we'll be right back after this next break.
On the air. Jeremy Moon killed
I still have to do a whole thing with Jeremy.
Okay, you think you're almost ready?
I'm trying to get ready as fast as I can, because I guess, I mean, look, I got 2 different colors on.
He looks really good.
Oh, I love you hear that. You know, he just, what is he doing?
Hey,
what you think?
I like the hat.
Yeah.
Let's try a different shirt.
Different shirt?
Yeah.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
You know, he never does anything. So I'm like, super like,
Yeah.
That's
cool.
You like it?
We know you guys will be really, you know, you guys are usually really busy, but he's got something
he told you, didn't he?
I don't know. I don't
Let me get these lips right.
My lips are sealed.
I don't need to hurt. Is he ready now?
I mean, yes.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, snap. That's it.
But don't, just make it perfect. Ooh, yes.
You're not ready for it. You're not ready. You're not ready. It's when he kissed me. When he kissed me, it don't come off. When he kissed me, it don't come off.
From the moment I saw you, I knew this could be love, a brand new kind of love. You don't get this close to let it go. Stepping through the storm, that's how you know. No, there is no need to be reckless. There is no need to be jealous. Baby, I know we can do it. We can get through this. Nobody said that this love would be easy. No, we're not perfect. It's okay, believe me. We can fall in love. We can be in love. We can be in love, we can stay in love. We can fuss and fight, make up and still be in love. In love, we can
It was quicker than you thought, but we're back on the air with Kyere and Rob Milton, our awesome guest and co-host for this week's episode. And you've been listening to us ramble about just the things that make us happy.
I know.
That have been a part of our like creative stand into creative producers kind of thing. I don't know. We don't know how to describe this.
But you, like you said, this is for the heads. This is for the connoisseurs.
No, this is for the heads.
So they should be
the
eating this up.
This is for the heads. They've gotten a couple stories out of you that I don't think they would have gotten. Mary J. Blige. But I want to spend this last segment talking about some of our favorites. So we've touched on the joys, the every sunshines of the world. But of course, there are other faves that keeps our palates tantalized and our ears titillated with excitement, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, if you can give me three, I don't want to pressure you for three, but if you could start on like three things or three shows, if you could start with three shows that you have gone to, or moments that you've had, they don't have to be full shows, but just go. Tell me one.
Okay, so I'm gonna start with one, and these aren't in any order, but if they were in an order, I feel like I would have no choice but to make this number one.
Okay.
Would be the one time I saw Beyonce on the Jimmy Fallon show. It wasn't the Tonight Show, it was prior to that, which was that late night with Jimmy. But yeah, Beyonce performed Countdown and she performed Best Thing I Never Had with The Roots. And they split it up and they placed it different times. But not only was I there, but I got tickets for what they call the band bench. So I was actually behind Beyonce. So technically I danced.
I'm gonna pull that, but keep talking. I'm gonna pull that.
Technically, I was a background dancer for Beyonce's performance of Countdown, and I'm owed a check. And I don't necessarily need the check. Just hire me, Parkwood, and then it'll be settled. But yes, if you watch this, you will definitely see me in the background.
Wait, call it so I can click it. Call it so I can click it. Because
it happens quick. It's when she does the countdown, like the numbers, you'll see me like flashing the numbers. But it's really a quick. You gotta catch it. I'm in the
That's
background.
all right. It's a background dance. You still a dance.
Yes. But yeah, it was really fun. I actually took my little cousin to this. And when she performed Best Thing I Never Had, my little cousin.
I see you jigging in the back.
I'm
gonna catch the next one.
When she did Best Thing I Never Had, my little cousin was standing next to this Spanish girl, and she, you know, what goes around comes back around. She was doing that part, and my cousin and the Spanish girl was like ratchet as hell, yelling it back to her. So if you watch that performance, you'll hear her start laughing. She go, "I hear y'all," because they were getting their life. But yeah, this was a really, really great experience. And I've seen Beyonce many times, but only one time can I say that I saw her from the stage.
Yes. No,
I also go ahead.
No, you go. It's your turn.
I also had an awkward experience there with Questlove. I mean, it wasn't necessarily. It's just I always say jokingly, even prior to being connected, I always have said since I've known Issa Rae's writing that Issa Rae is writing my life. because while I have amazing experiences, I also I like to think that I'm a bit awkward at times, and sometimes certain things happen that only feel like they would happen to me.
Mhm.
So Questlove was coming around the cut to go to the drum pit, but so I'm on the bench behind the stage, so I'm on the stage. So he comes around and he's literally right next to me. So I'm like, now mind you, I'm a big fan of Questlove because outside of the incredible things he does musically, he is also a head like us, and he
He's a big
also,
head.
yeah. And so I've always called him my big brother in my head. So again, I see him in the moment. I'm processing in my mind, like, is this a time to speak, or do you just let the moment pass? Like, what's happening? What's happening? But then he was right next to me, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. So I'm like, yo, what's up? And I go to shake his hand. It was awesome. But when he reached back to shake my hand, he gave me the dap. And this is pre-corona, but now, now I would respect, and not that I wouldn't respect the dap, but now it makes more sense. So I mean, but it was protecting your,
Yeah.
your sanitation. But it just, as you did, it was just very much like, oh, okay, all right. And then he was gone, and I was like, yes.
At least you didn't fall. At least.
I mean, really? At least I didn't fall asleep. How about that?
All right, so B, that's an incredible one. I've
Yes.
seen her twice live, but I've yet to be, close enough to
That's
have a
awesome,
story.
yeah.
So there's that.
I mean, I don't have a story yet, but I'm also, manifesting that Parkwood give me a call. Okay, great.
Yes, you're gonna manifest that hard. But this is another one I know for you, and I'm just gonna hold on.
Oh yes, I forgot. I thought you were about to do one next. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I didn't know they was gonna play it, so you can just. And
Okay.
okay, so Beyonce is one, incredible.
So Beyonce is one. Now I can think of another one. Earlier, I actually mentioned I went with a friend to the Mary Cincinnati event. So I also got tickets to Coco's birthday in 2010 in New York at BB King's. Which, shout out to BB King's and rest in peace to BB King's in New York, unfortunately. But it was kind of, I want to say that was during the R&B Divas or right before. And at her birthday party, it was Claudette Ortiz, who we now know was on Holiday on R&B Divas Hollywood. Little Mo, who we now know was on R&B Divas Hollywood. Like, it was almost like that cast, and then SWV.
We found out they were trying to see if Coco was.
I know.
But anyway, it would have made total sense in retrospect.
Yeah. And I mean, they eventually did the, what was it, Ladies Night or whatever with SWV
on BET.
Yeah, but anyway, so I got to go to SWV's birthday party. I took my friend with me, and it was actually just a really great experience being in BB King's because New York, while it's very big, I feel like it's very small, and
Very.
so which is kind of the same in Atlanta. But going to an event like that in New York, you literally don't know who you'll see. So while I was super hyped to see Coco at SWV and they performed, they did Week, of course, and then I think the clip I have, they're singing a Michael Jackson, Jackson 5 cover. But also just being in the crowd and turning around and like Nikki Ross is randomly standing next to me. I don't know if you know who that is, but she's like a singer. She used to sing with Kirk Franklin in like a big gospel Texas thing. And then also on the other side, I look at like James Hall, another like big gospel person, and like it's just again being in these spaces and experiencing like the behind the scenes people that you have studied and you didn't even come for them. Like they just happened to be in the room. And then that also just adds to the energy of the room. And so it was Coco's birthday, but it just was beautiful. And this was like I feel like they had just started performing together again at this time.
Yeah, if it's 2010, that's that comeback era because their
yeah.
album didn't happen until 2012. So
yeah, so this was the
their
beginning of their
comeback
first,
era.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like
so
the
that's
BET Awards era, like when they did the Alicia Keys snap.
Yes, but I don't know. Well, yeah. And so my third one, Wait, is my third pause? I mean, I guess whatever. Is my third? Is that where I'm doing me, or am I doing me separately?
No, do you?
Okay, cool. So my third one is going to be actually something that we just hit a 4-year mark of this week. It was my first time in LA. The year that I moved to Atlanta, I went to LA for the first time prior to going to Atlanta. And I decided while I was there on this stage in this clip that you'll see, I decided, okay, I'm moving to LA because it was my first time in LA. I had actually went to perform for a good friend of mine, Morgan Rhodes, who is a music supervisor.
Yes, we know Morgan. Shout out to
Yes,
Morgan and those
yeah.
awesome ass placements across the board. Hey,
Yeah,
Morgan.
she's so incredible and so sweet and hilarious and like she's all the things. But it
I
was
can
her
imagine. See,
birthday.
I've yet to meet. I just know her placements.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Um,
yes.
so it was her birthday, and myself and my friend Jackie Hammond, we performed. And I think it was a couple other people that performed. Because you know Morgan does the music supervising on what's the show on Netflix? Netflix. It used to be a movie. Dear White People. Okay. Because Morgan does music supervising on Dear White People, and I think it was coming out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a couple other people that performed that were actually on the soundtrack and all of that. But the reason why this was special was because one, it was my first time in LA. Are you
This performance, right?
Yes. So it was my first time in LA. It was on a rooftop, like so perfect. And then Michelle and Ocello was there.
In the
Not
audience,
only was
watching
she,
you.
not only was she there, we were eating upstairs, and while everybody was eating, Jackie and I went downstairs to begin to set up for the performance. And Michelle came downstairs to help us set up, like out of nowhere. And so it just was like, again, these were moments where it's like, as Oprah says, aha moments, the moments where you realize, like, this is literally where I'm supposed to be at this moment, what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is not happening for anybody else. This is happening for me. This is me. Like, this is really me. And so, yeah, I had decided just from that moment itself, I had decided, okay, I'm moving to LA.
Yeah. That
And
was
then
all I needed.
yeah, but then I came to Atlanta, and so many of the artists and like creatives that I had been like loving on the internet they were in the same room. It was just like it was a good like 10 people that came to my show because I had a show here in Atlanta before I ended up moving here. It was a good 10 people that came that I was like, you live here? Like, wait, what's happening? Like, it just felt like almost like a family reunion. And then I see the show was with Crayon, who ends up later being my group member and all of that. But that LA moment was and will always be really special to me. Just because it's so like cinematic to me. Like, I have moments in life where I'm like, this, it feels like a movie, and in the future, like, I gotta do something. Like,
You're like, oh,
some
I
of
need
the
to remember this because I'm gonna
yeah,
have to write about this. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, exactly.
no, I
Yeah.
have those moments all the time. You should see my journal of notes for just note taking of experiences so later I can reference
Yeah.
them all over the place. But of course, in my own personal organization. But my organization are everything from like, it was 85 degrees. I was standing underneath the scaffolding. Like, I feel like Mariah Carey when I'm like writing
Yes.
my It's like, it was the rooftop on that.
I wish I
rainy
was
night.
that
Yeah.
way. I really do. I'm that way when it comes to writing songs. Like, I mean, this is again me getting on a tangent, but it's you make me too comfortable. This is the problem.
Hey, that's what I'm here for, right? I'm the key to the
But
air.
I do that in songwriting. Like, don't say something to me in an argument or like even just I'm definitely gonna use some shit you said in the song. Like, that is dope. I'm gonna in like almost in detail or like specifically exactly how you said it. But when it comes to dates and times and temperatures and like you said, the Mariah of it all, that's where I'm lost. But when it comes to the feeling, that's the thing that I can detail perfectly.
See, I can draw the feeling based on my memory of the scenario.
Yeah.
So if I am trying to recall something and can't think of it, I'm like, oh shit, no, Rob had on a blue t-shirt. That blue t-shirt is gonna
Yes.
tell me everything. He
The
had on
whole
a blue
thing.
t-shirt and he had on sandals. And because he had on sandals, it was hot outside. And it was hot outside, that means I arrived at 4:30. And when I got there and it's a domino effect.
Yeah.
It's always something visual first versus emotional, because in those moments I hold my emotions outside of my body, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Can
When I
you
go
give
to
me the
concerts or when I
tutorial?
have these
How you do
experiences,
that?
I'm sorry.
I said, can you give me the tutorial? How you do that?
So because I know that if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong. If
Yeah.
there's any chance for my parade to be rained on, it will be rained on. So I don't enter these environments high energy, because that's draining and it distracts you. And I don't enter these moments necessarily like I'm never really present until the artist is on stage. Even though I'm engaging people, like my life source is on like a 1. And when they get ready to come on, it's rev to like a 4. When I hear, when the band's in place and in curtains, I'm at a 7, on a scale of 5. Like at that point, I'm foaming at the mouth and I'm like, okay, the moment is here. But I've had those experiences where, where it's like they're growing pains. You're out and you're trying to enjoy the show, but then you have a disconnect with a friend that like takes you out of it. Or then you have, or, you go to a venue and you're like, damn, the dynamics weren't how I thought. And now I gotta pee. Or like, so I don't go to a level 5 until the artist is on stage, because so much can happen between now and the actual performance.
And when they actually come out. Okay, so what are your 3?
I don't enter concert spaces very high energy or very or looking to like make big connections. Like I'm like, okay, this is when I see the artist, this is what I'm looking for. And so, excuse me. So wow. And so it just becomes logic, right? It just becomes me like, all right, what are the mechanics to get me to my moment, whether it's the show or post-show, and then boom, I can celebrate, and then boom, I'm done celebrating, okay, I can go home. And then once I'm home comfortable, then I'm excited. Like that's when the excitement that most people feel before the show, that's when my excitement comes. Because now I have the whole drum kit production pack, all of the show tracking down. So now I can listen to the music better. So yeah, that's how I am when I get into those experiences.
Oh wait, was I doing the Sweden one now, or is that later?
Yeah, no, we're gonna go into Sweden. So so you realize you want to move to LA. From that first awesome performance in LA with Michelle DeGiocello helping you put together the fucking like.
We actually wouldn't let her help, but it was just like the idea that she wanted to was mind blowing, and it was just like I was like, "You're you, like what? No." But it's
that sounds like me trying to wash Khaleesi's dishes, because I'm like, you don't wash your own dishes. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Side note, I'm not gonna tell that story yet, but I have a Khaleesi.
I know I've seen that video. That's super
cool.
No,
and I was like, you saw how gassed I was. I'm like,
yes. As you should be, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In a corner, that dishwater was cold, but anyway. So favorites, right? So we talked about you attending Coco's birthday and getting the opportunity to see SWV and all these other creatives that you love. And we talked about, of course, the one and only Beyonce. And then we talked about the one and only Rob Milton and his first performance in LA. Is there anything else, any honorable mentions before we wrap it up?
I have to say, I mean, because of the Panasonic and the way that we cannot leave the country, we're stuck in this hellhole. I have to also reminisce a little bit about 2019. What does the video say a year?
Oh, it's in the photo for Sweden. Let me see.
Yeah, because I'm terrible with dates.
No, you're totally fine. It just says
19. Yeah, it was 2019. 2019. So yeah, I have to absolutely reminisce about going to Sweden in 2019. It was my first time going overseas, period. But for it to be my first time going overseas, being asked to perform my music, like specifically my music, I had just released my EP Stay. And so I got to perform that overseas, and it was really, really beautiful. Actually, if you if you do the streaming and all of that, you can listen to a live version of my song Good Side from this set on my Wave Remix EP. It was really, really fun and like a really dope experience. The people overseas are so much more, I feel like they're so much more comfortable like loving on you and like loving the music and
I've
like
heard that.
there's no, they don't even like, I honestly wanted to release this whole set as like a live album, but I can't because at one point in the set I was like, y'all, people had started singing along and I was like, yeah, I love that. Like, yeah, like y'all sing along with me. And this one guy on the front row decided from then on that he was going to sing along as loudly as possible.
Yes. Be careful what you wish
So,
for.
so if you listen throughout the set, I might play it for you one day on the low. But if
Please.
you listen to the set, you will hear me singing and then this gentleman echoing what I sing after for the rest of my set.
Yeah.
So,
So we need more monitors in the house.
but as much as listening back to it, as much as I'm like, like I can't, whatever, it's beautiful that somebody somewhere was like that much into what I do, into what I create. And like, I'm certain that he went home and learned all the words. And if I came back, he would sing over me again and I would love it. And I just hope that outside opens up again so that I can go back overseas. Cause that was a beautiful experience, especially with these new records I got coming. Cause you know, we got some heat. So
Yes, there's heat coming, and then you have there's solo heat, and then there's group heat. Like you got heat from every direction coming.
doing the best I can with what I got.
Yes, that's the perfect way to round it all up.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we can with what the hell we got. And for right now, we have almost 3 hours worth of content, and so
Dude.
bye.
Bye.